All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, shipmates of all ages, welcome to episode 17 of the Across Your Bow podcast. I am, of course, Sir Bruno Mike, and with me today is Ashley, a.k.a. Ashley. How you doing, Ashley?
I'm pretty good, Venom.
All right. What you been working on this week?
Well, what have I been working on? That is a loaded question. So this week I've been trying to create some openers and panels and stuff for my horror night stream that I've been doing on Sundays.
Horror nights? Like
horror games.
Horror games, okay. All right,
Yeah.
Just add a clarification there because some people might take that out of context. Guys, we're hanging out with Ashley. You guys can hit her up on her Twitter at Ashley, a.k.a. Ashley. And you guys can hit her up over on her Twitch channel, twitch.tv/a.k.a. Ashley. So today we're going to talk a little bit of news. We're going to talk about the new hotfix, point 1 into point 2, and a whole lot of feelings and thoughts on that, and then which has turned out to be a very controversial topic anywhere. Reddit thread's just a cesspool of nonsense. Twitter's blowing up. Facebook is, people still use Facebook, ? But that's blowing up too. The forums are going crazy, and then we'll talk about the new radar mechanics and the flooding mechanics and our thoughts and feelings on that. And then there'll be a Q&A session later on in the program. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns over for you guys on YouTube, leave them in the section below, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. But if you guys are active here in the chat, where? Twitch.tv/SirVenomIK. You guys can go ahead and at SirVenomIK or at Ashley, a.k.a. Ashley, and I will pull those questions out, and we will ask them toward the end of the show. So, that's it. How about ranked? You been playing ranked this week?
I played a little bit. Not too much. I don't know. The rank grind is not really of an interest to me. I enjoy playing it, but I don't want to force myself into that.
I've always said that it's a minor test of skill and a holy test of patience.
Yes.
Patience on, is my team going to do what they need to do to get the game done if I don't do it myself?
Yeah, pretty much everyone, I mean, I don't know the truth to this, but everyone has told me that ranked is not an indicator of skill, that it is just an indicator of patience in the grind,
right.
So...
Well, there's a moderate level of skill involved making the right choices, and you see my man K35 Keskin ranks out in 79 games.
Of course he does.
Yeah, 79 games, fantastic. But either way, so let's go ahead and jump on into the news. I haven't really been working on much. I think I've played maybe 50 games in ranked season this season so far. Maybe 50. I'm just.
Dude, I haven't even done that. Like maybe 10.
Yeah.
20. I don't know.
All right. So with the news, there's a lot of ships out there that have been through testing. I've played most of them. I know Ashley's played a lot of them as well. And some of them are getting changes. The Yahagi's getting a change. The Leon, I don't know what's wrong with that boat. That boat is just too slow for me. What do you think about that one?
I'm one of those few weird people that like the Duca. The Leon just, it's just like to me, it's just an Italian, or a DD Duca.
A DD Duca.
It's just a weird, it's just like a weird ship with really slow torps that I don't really get, but sometimes I have really awesome games in it, and other times the games suck. So it's not something I've ever managed to like find an average in. You know what I mean?
Well, hey, I know all about averages, but
I know.
I find the boat a little slow, and like it's a bully. If you want to get up into a cap or something, you can pretty much bully any other destroyer out. Tier 4, tier 5, tier 6 destroyer. You can bully the hell out of them, but all they have to do is turn around and run away, and then you're just like, wait, come back. Come back. because you can't catch up to them.
Yeah.
But other than that,
I don't usually chase down ships with my DDs. I usually try to sit and smoke anyways, so right. I guess maybe it just works better for me. The way I prefer to play DD. That's
the best part. I mean, that's why I've been playing the Kitakaze and Darren rank season, because I would just assume sit there and hold down a section of the map and let them come to me so I can just farm, hold the button down.
Yeah, I can't wait to have that ship.
It's good. You'll like it. You'll like it. All right, so
I never figured out the Yahagi, so I don't know about.
yeah, it's just weak. I don't find the guns attractive. I don't find the torpedo arcs very good. It's like a Katori, right? With those arcs that are just not good at all. They're like right on the side of a boat, almost like a battleship, like the Ashitaka's. Now those got good torps. I don't know. It's in its own. It's in its own. It's in its own class, and it's in a very not so great class. I don't know what to do. I'm like, the Furitaka is a fantastic ship at Tier 5, with those AP 203s at Tier 5. Those are just really good. I just don't. Something's got to change on it, or it's just going to be maybe they just give it away instead of selling it, because I don't think I would buy it in its current state.
Yeah, it's hard for me to judge it because I don't like the tech tree line itself. The Atago is the only Japanese cruiser I actually like.
Mm-hmm.
Just so
Yo, you are.
I just feel like it's me, with the.
You're one of the rarities, because I don't mind them until Tier 8, and I had such a bad experience playing the Mogami at Tier 8, being bottom tiered 70% of the time, and then 80% of the times that I was bottom tier, I was on Tears of the Desert, the old map where it was wide open, and 15.7 kilometer range or 15.8 kilometer range, whatever it is not good on versus Tier 10s. So I did not enjoy that boat, but the Zao is fantastic once you get through.
I've heard it's worth the grind. I think I'm stuck at the Tier 5, or 6, or probably the Tier 6. Whatever's after Furitaka.
The Aoba, it's a struggle. That boat is a struggle. I will give you that one. And I was talking to one guy back when they did the Tier 6 rank season, and he ranked out in every cruiser. He had multiple accounts. He ranked out in every cruiser at Tier 6. And I said, well, which one was the hardest? He said the Aoba was probably the worst. That's before the accuracy buff. But that line is okay, but definitely not new player friendly.
No, and I think that if I were to, for any Japanese cruiser, if I were to just really focus on one ship and figure out the arcs and just stick with it, that it would be easier. But it's hard. It's unforgiving when you miss, because the turret rotation sucks. And then, and so because I jump back and forth between ships, I have to relearn
those
arcs every time. Yeah.
And I think every one of us here, they go. I've always told people to play up 2 or 3 different lines at the same time, figure out which one that you're going to connect with, because I connect with one thing, you connect with something totally different, and just play those and enjoy those. And then come back later on once you have everything that you want. Then go back and relearn how to play those other ships that'll be more beneficial to you. As number one, you're going to be a little bit smarter in the game, and number two, for me, I like grinding things. So if I have something fresh to grind, it's always better.
Yeah.
So the new carriers, the Saipan, the Kaga, the Graf Zeppelin, the Enterprise, I believe they said that they were going to come back for sale on 8.2, which is 2 months away, I guess. I don't know. We don't know when 8.1 is going to even drop, because we're still on 8.0. Have you got a chance to play these during the testing process after the carrier rework?
Yeah, I played all of them. The Kaga was probably my favorite non-Royal Navy CB. But I think it's just because... Right.
Yeah.
I love the Royal Navy CVs.
I do too.
But I think it's just because it was so forgiving due to the pretty overpowered amount of planes that you had on the Kaga.
38 torpedo planes on deck.
I was literally able to use nothing but torpedo bombers while they're getting shredded for 10 minutes solid every time I played that ship. So I was able to spend my entire match bullying battleships.
Bullying the ball.
Yeah, it really felt wrong.
It felt bad. I did say that I would like to have seen them pull it back, because there's no reason to have 3 full squadrons of torpedoes on the deck, but that with the hack, and then you get 500,000 damage gains like you did with the hack. But then somebody said those are only Tier 6 planes, so you're going to get them shredded. So
right.
Maybe that's the balance of it. We're gonna give you crappy planes, but you can have a ton of the crappy planes. Maybe that's the way they did it.
I think with the flood changes too, it'll change. It's just that I was able to flood and reflood. I got way more damage with Kaga than I did any other CV.
That's fair enough. I know Saipan and the Kaga actually has the HE bombers and the Enterprise has the AP bombers. Did you enjoy doing the different bombing runs, AP versus HE, or then the Royal Navy's totally different bombing style?
I mean, it's funny that you mentioned those two because those are the two that I felt were OP.
You thought they were both OP?
Yeah, Enterprise was the only ship I ever actually citadeled battleships with.
It's the AP bombers.
Right. So, I don't know. It just felt... that was the other ship I did. Probably the second ship I did the most damage in. Basically, if I'm good in it and it's a CV, I'm just going to assume that it's OP, right?
Assume it's OP.
Because I'm really bad with
Well, I know that first day that it came out, man, I just absolutely hated life because I didn't understand the mechanics of understand the mechanics of the dive bombers, so I was just going up and I'm like, I can't even see anything. I don't know what am I supposed to be doing here. And I raged out for about 10 to 15 games, but then slowly you start picking it up and I'm surprisingly enough, I actually kind of like the CVs. I know, hate me or whatever, but man, I actually kind of like them, the way that they're working, and especially this Graf Zeppelin. Now with those dive bombers are weird. They're different than any other dive bombers out there. As normally, the HE dive bombers or the AP dive bombers, they come up and then they drop their stuff. Well, this one's these come in and then they go straight down, and they got the nice high pitch diving whine in it, and it's very satisfying. I feel with the Graf Zeppelin dive bombers now. Before it was insta report for somebody playing it. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't really play the Graf Zeppelin prior, but
I never played it before.
I found it interesting they kept the circular reticle.
I think it was
instead of oblong.
They had the circular reticle, I believe, on one of the Graf Zeppelin's original implementations, and that was to get the bombers to be able to drop from any direction. Mm-hmm. So they could drop sideways, they could drop on the top, they could drop forward to back to front, whatever. So I actually kind of like that. I kind of like that. So that means it doesn't matter because you don't have too much hit points on those, and if you're going to get into, say, a Tier 10 game, which you will a majority of your time anyway, maybe that's a way to save some planes. You just go straight in, bang. You don't have to set up for any drops and have a high percentage drop chance. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It just, I don't know. Maybe if they did a little bit less damage, it just still feels like Graf Zeppelin is still the old Graf Zeppelin. I don't know though. We'll see. It definitely wasn't no hack.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a hack, but it was good. It was good. The torpedoes are pretty good too on that.
Yeah, I only played a couple games in it.
Right. All right, so let's move on to one more set of testing ships, and that was the British carriers also released for testing. I like these things.
Dude, I love them. My favorite part was that you didn't actually dive down. They did the carpet bombing.
Right.
The dive down always threw my aim off. I don't know why I'm so bad at that dive down. Today, someone told me I needed to move my mouse down, so I was actually looking at my reticle. I had no idea that was a thing. I totally missed that.
You can scroll back on your mouse wheel and then pull it back just a little bit, and then you can actually see where the reticule is. I've always said I put in the feedback sections the saying that, hey, maybe we need to move the camera back a little bit when you start your dive bombing.
Yeah, like today I was trying to play the Langley, and I was having seeing like the timer when I went into a dive for the dive bombers, not the torpedo bombers. So I couldn't tell if that timer is really short too.
I believe you can extend that. I don't know. I'd have to look at the upgrades that you could buy for $2-3 million or whatever they are to see how to adjust the particular ones that you want to focus on. But for the most part, I believe people just do torpedo bombers and maybe rockets on those. I don't think too many people do dive bombers. But the Indomitable. Wait, which one was the premium? Was it the Indomitable? Either way, the one that it only has rockets
Very
and
premium.
the bombers. Yeah, that
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun playing that boat.
Really? So before the like nerfs or whatever, I actually ran out of planes like immediately in that ship.
Yeah.
I wish they had more since they were limited to the two. I wish they had more of each because I just my planes got shredded in the first like 5 minutes of the game, and then I spent the rest of the game bringing like one plane out at a time or just sitting there waiting for.
Rough.
So I just never really figured that one out. Maybe if I'd also, been the up tier instead of the down tier every game, or
I did see a lot of that. I did see a lot of down tiering. I mean, like, that there's people playing. I can go on Twitch and look at however many people are playing, and they're all playing the hack or they're playing the midway at tier 10. I'm like, why am I at tier 10? Why aren't these guys up there playing with these other things? Which leads to the next question. I mean, +1, -1 for CV matchmaking. Where do you stand on that?
I've always been a huge
Proponent?
proponent for the idea of +or -1 matchmaking. I really wish that it was a possibility and that they would do it, but I do understand from a business standpoint, queue times really can make or kill a game. Actually, I was just playing a game the other day and I was explaining Dead by Daylight. The reason I stopped playing it 2 years ago is the queue times for lobbies were just insane. I could never get into a queue, and I am a creature of, my generation is very much about instant gratification, and it's hard to wait around for too long. Although games like League of Legends make it work for them. You can have up to like 30-minute queues in that game if you're high elo.
Some people just absolutely love standing in line.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a story when I was in the Navy, and we went up to New York for Fleet Week, and I was waiting. Guy went to get something at Toys R Us down there in Times Square, and I was waiting for him, and me and the other guy was standing outside, and we were just talking, and people. I look around, and there's people starting to queue up behind us. And I'm like, what is going on? And I didn't pay no attention to it. And then I turned around and looked at the guy, and man, there was just half a block with just people standing in this line. And I looked at him, and it's like, yo, what's going on? He's like, I don't know, man. What's this line for? Like, people just want to stand in lines. I don't get it.
They thought y'all had found something cool.
I guess, maybe. We were just sitting there waiting for that guy to come out. All right, guys, we're hanging out with Ashley, a.k.a. Ashley. You guys can hit her up on twitch.tv/Ashley, a.k.a. Ashley, or hit her up on her Twitter at Ashley, a.k.a. Ashley. Now,
keep it simple.
I gotta ask, where'd the name come from?
So I am not very creative, and I just never liked making names or coming up with names. I don't want to be an alternate personality on the internet. I just always wanted to be Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have never liked having numbers in my name, and like I just literally wouldn't create a username that had numbers. I would just sit there and spam and try to find names that didn't have a number. So one day I was like, I just want to be Ashley, aka Ashley, and then I was like, holy hell, that's my name now. Now, unfortunately, every once in a while I find a site that has like a limit of, I think my name is 16 characters, and they'll have a limit of 15, and then I get kind of triggered.
You're like, no, it doesn't fit.
Yeah. But for the most part, I was able to get this name everywhere, which is, as a streamer was important. I didn't want to have different names on every social media. It's just so much easier from a branding standpoint.
Absolutely. I was fixing to say something about the branding. You are absolutely correct. Yeah, the same thing with me. I mean, Servant of my Chaos, I've had this name since the year 2000, and it's always available. Unless I forget my password, and I've already been on that site, and I don't remember, nobody else has got this name, But there you go. All right, guys, are you ready for Get to Know Ashley with the 9 average questions?
Ooh.
9 average questions. Now, I did send these to her a little bit earlier, so just in case there was something that we needed to change and focus away from, then, and there we go. So here you go. Question number 1 on the 9 questions of averageness. How did you find World of Warships?
Actually, my husband tried to get me to play this game for 2 years, and I guess I'd only ever watched him play Battleships because I remember saying that looks very slow and boring.
Can be, especially the early tiers.
And I think he was grinding U.S. battleships. And
Very
you know,
slow.
at first glance, I thought it really looked like a pay to win game. I've always been very against that. And anyways, I just kind of, put it aside. And we had other games we played together. And I got to this point where I was kind of tired of the games I was playing. I was really tired of Counter-Strike. I felt like it'd been overrun by hackers. And, I was tired of being stuck at, MG Hell. And then I got tired of League of Legends. And then all my friends suddenly got really busy IRL and no one was able to play games anymore. And he was like, this game's still around. I do still play this. And I was like, all right, I'll try it.
And now you play it
And,
more than he does.
oh yeah, hell yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Him and one of my other friends that's, he's in 5D, were like, no, it's not pay to win. And they explained to me that it was pay to grind. And
Pay
I
to
was
advance,
okay
yeah.
with it.
I usually
Yeah.
see. I don't have a problem like stuff like League of Legends. It's pay to look good. Path of Exile is
Exactly.
pay to look good. Pay to advance. I
All
have no
about that.
problem. Yeah, but as soon as you have an advantage, a la premium ammo, World of Tanks, I'm looking at you. Then I don't want to have anything to do with that game because this guy can dual wield his credit cards, and then beat me, and there's nothing I can do about it. That's very
Right.
frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so question number 2, guys. What was your motivation to start the show? I call it the show, but what the stream? What was your motivation to start your stream?
It's something I had been thinking about for a while, actually. I just never had got, I guess, motivated enough to actually do it, if that makes sense.
Actually, turn it on.
Right, to actually like go through this processes of making it happen. And one of my friends is a partner music streamer, and we were kind of catching up, and he just started really encouraging me because I had the time at the time. At that time, I had the time on my hands, and kept pushing me, just do it. Like, and one day I remember he said, "Okay, Ashley," we were, chatting with each other, and hey, baby, all right, my other dog's here. We were chatting with each other and playing games together. And when we were done, he was like, "Okay, today, Ashley, you're gonna set up your panels." And
Okay.
so I did. Yeah, I did. That's Jonathan Ong. You guys have seen me raid and host him all the time. So he's the reason I got into streaming.
There you go. Well, congratulations. Now, what coming into the community and coming into something like World of Warships, was this the first game that you streamed, or was there other things that you streamed, or?
No, I streamed various games. I streamed PUBG. When I first started streaming, the idea was so those friends I was talking about that all got real busy. Like, I'm talking about having like literally multiple of them had children, like got pregnant, had kids. Others like moved cross country and like got new jobs, and just like literally it's just stuff happened with all of them. But initially, when I started streaming, they were all going to be streaming with me because we all played games together, like literally every day. We were all going to stream together while we played games together, and that was the plan. So yeah, we played various games like Overwatch and PUBG, and I streamed a couple games of League of Legends, but I'm so trash at that game. The community is so toxic. I didn't stream that much of that.
I streamed it for about 2.5 weeks, but then I realized that I looked at the list one day, and I was like, I was in between games. This is in between Diablo 3 and Path of Exile, and I was like, oh, I just want to play League of Legends. Let's learn Shaco, just to be a jerk.
Hey, there you go.
And
there you go.
And I looked up, and there was 8,000 people streaming, and I'm like, man, there's no way I'm gonna get any traction here. I got lost in it, so I decided to go find another game, and I just happened upon this one.
Yeah. Well, like I said, then all my friends kind of stopped streaming and stopped playing games, and husband introduced me to this game, and then I never stopped playing it. So.
There you go, and it's been pretty good for you, and we'll get into that here in just a second. But question number 3: what is the biggest setback in streaming that made you change your mentality? Maybe something happened in the channel that you had to like shift, or anything.
Probably my biggest setback really as a streamer was just having a major life change. I moved had to go through an international move, which really took me offline for mostly for a few months. I streamed very little for a few month period, and it was like just as I had started to gain traction as a streamer, it happened, and I had to accept and go through that process of I'm gonna lose viewers, I'm gonna lose followers, subscribers, and we're gonna come back and just start over. Basically, you have to start over, which was fine. Yeah.
Starting over is always hard, but you came back to the game, and you still had pretty good base of people that were ready for you to come back. I know I for one was ready for you to come back after the move, and thank you for coming back because inspired and lightened up everybody's life while you're here. Now, guys, I'm not just gushing, but there's a point to everything that I'm saying. So, with that being said, you go off. You move internationally, you come back, you're experiencing the lows of what a streaming is when you shift games or have a major shift in the world for you, and then you come back, and then what happens? Something clicks for you. What was it that clicked for you? You hit on something, you found something, and then you just was like, yes, that's my ticket. Let's go. What was that for you?
I think that when I came back, first of all, I made mods for my stream, which is something I hadn't had. But I think that, I just realized how I wanted my community to be shaped. My community has, if you guys have ever been in my chat, you know that my community banters with me a lot, which is what I had in that group of friends that I haven't lost those friends, but I've lost that exact relationship that I had with them. Not living in the same places and them having real life things to do. We just don't have that same the same interactions as we did before. But I've been able to shape my community to basically be that. We have great banter. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes they can be a little mean, and then I get salty and let them know, and then we roll it back down.
I was in there when somebody was talking about trying to tell you how to play your game, and I was just like, wow, man, you guys need to calm down. Who are these people that are talking to her like this? And man, she laid down the law. She was like, I will play whatever the hell I want to, and how I want to. Y'all just meh.
Yeah, y'all need to calm down. Yeah, so we, some of them hate it, but, we've added Gone PG, which is something I wasn't before, and we try to make it family friendly, and, it does suck for some of my hardcore community, like to use, vulgar words, and I do too, but...
So do I. I'm bad at that.
But, I think what clicked was just defining for myself what I wanted my community to look like.
There you go. It's always admirable when you're trying to build, because we are community builders as streamers. If you're not building a community, then you're doing something wrong as a streamer, in my opinion. I don't know about you, but you've got a fantastic community that's there every day whenever you fire up the show. So well done. Now, question number 5 is. You go from streamer to a contest winner to a community contributor all the way up to partner streamer. This is quite a journey, and a lot of good things have happened. What have you learned in this journey about Twitch, the community, or the Warships community on Twitch? And what would you change, and then what would you keep the same as a follow-up?
Yes, so a lot of things happened to me positively in a very short amount of time. I tell everybody that 2018 was the worst year, literally the worst year of my life. I went through a major trauma, just had a lot of really, really honestly shitty things happen. But streaming was always a really good escape for me, and it really helped me keep moving forward in a positive manner. and helped me keep my mind off a lot of things that, you know, I didn't always want to think about. And then suddenly, all that stuff you talked about just started falling into place, and the end of 2018 ended up being like the best year of my life. If I could just split them off into 2 separate years, 2018 was literally the best year of my life and the worst year of my life. And as far as what I learned was basically to just keep on moving. You know what I mean? Like,
just keep streaming.
Yeah, you know, keep streaming, keep building the community, focusing on the community. Don't get so tied up in what you don't have. Just focus on what, you know, what's in the future. You know, I was denied partnership my first application, and I was denied CC my first application. But then I very quickly got both of those. So, yeah, just
sounds like you took a little bit of a hit a wall, and then you were like, nope, and then busted right on through it. Kept on grinding.
Yeah, basically. Yep.
Yeah. So what about the Twitch community world for ships? What do you find good and bad about it?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I can separate the Twitch community from just the World of Warships.
Well, all right. Let's just go with World of Warships community involved with Twitch. How about that? Does that make it easier?
Sure. You know, people always say that this community, like people in the World of Warships community, say like, "Oh man, this community can be so toxic," or "There's so many toxic people," but that's just not my experience. There are some toxic people, but the general feel of the community is 100% non-toxic. However, I personally came from Counter-Strike Go and League of Legends, so I think my perspective of toxicity is just way different than people who primarily play World of Warships. We're always full of good advice. Yes. So I've found, I mean, the community on Twitch welcomed me with open arms as just a really terrible player, below average, you know, player as a new player. People were rating me and hosting me when I first started playing, giving me helpful advice, sometimes giving me troll advice, sometimes giving me what they thought was helpful advice but was really just wrong. People were just ready and willing to help, which was really cool, you know. Very cool.
That's one of the things that I've always appreciated about the World of Warships community is they are willing to go out of their way to help you if you're willing to listen and willing to work on getting better, and they will also what's the word, butt pucker. They will tighten up so tight if you say something that they don't agree with.
That's true.
You know, you'll say, "Oh, I don't like this boat." What? You must be bad. You must be terrible at that boat. Why you don't like it? I'm like, well,
mad because bad.
Yeah, mad because bad.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
There's really no middle ground in this community. You're either on their good side or you're on their bad side, as we're finding out. Moving forward. All right, guys.
That does happen a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Guys, we're hanging out with Ashley, AKA Ashley. You guys can go check her out on her channel, twitch.tv/Ashley, AKA There you go. And hit her up on her Twitter with the same right there. It's on the screen. You guys can see it. So question number 6. Oh, if you guys do have any questions that y'all want me to would like to ask myself or Ashley about anything that we're talking about today, please go ahead and put at ServantMIK or at Ashley, AKA and we will pull those out, or at one of the mods, and we will ask those toward the end of the podcast. So there you go. Moving on to question number 6. So what makes you stand out as a streamer / community contributor? What makes you different from everybody else out there?
I mean, I would definitely say my skill level, dude, or my length of time in the game. I think, you know, when I think about the other CCs, there's definitely like everyone else seems to be like Unicum or average, and then there's me over here. So it's just something, yeah. It's
Okay.
something different. I think I have a different perspective on the game. I think this happens in a lot of games that have have a like
An old guard, you can say
long,
that.
no, that have like a long time, like really dedicated core player base. We're really dedicated small core player base. I think that a lot of times it's hard for them to like accept the new people into the game because those are people that are bad that are coming into their game. And I've seen a lot with this community. There's like this idea of man, those new people or those potatoes or those weekend warriors like ruin my game, whereas I'm coming as a new player and I am those people. So sorry that I'm ruining your game, but also I think that that's what keeps the game alive and it's what keeps it fresh. I like to tell people that, those weekend warriors that are selling broadside on your team are also selling broadside on the enemy team, allowing you to get Krakens and 200K
Get six
games.
people and then losing the game.
Right. And so I just think that's literally the only way I'm different from the other CCs. Is it's just a different perspective and skill level. And knowledge base. You don't come to my stream to learn how to play. You come to be entertained.
There you go. That I don't know about learning how to play. We try to teach people a different mentality about the game and maybe look at things from a different perspective. So I was very, very happy to have somebody else with the same mind frame. Let's put it that way. Question number 7, who influences you as a person to go to that next level? Be it a person, an artist, a book, a movie, anything.
This is like one of those weird things, like I'm not like influenced by a person specifically, but I do try to find influences like everywhere around, like in everything and anything. Does that make sense? So for instance, I'll give you an example. Just a couple days ago, I was watching YouTube and there was this kid on VR chat that was talking about having butterfly syndrome.
Yeah, I saw the post there.
Yeah, and he's on. So butterfly syndrome, basically his skin just like comes off if it brushes up against something. It's an incredibly painful thing to go through to have. He has lost his fingers. He has no fingers, and he's freaking awesome at freaking Fortnite, like 10,000 times better than I'll ever be. He uses foot pedals to build, and he just has this like outlook on life that is just so down to earth. And I think he's like 14. He's a really young kid.
Yeah, it was. I sat there and watched him when you posted that in the chat there, and I was pretty impressed. And he can't grasp anything, so he's got to like strap the mouse to his hands and playing. And it's a very inspirational. If this guy can do this and not complain and moan about it, my life is not that hard.
Exactly.
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
That's like I said, I don't have like celebrity. I don't like idolize celebrities and stuff. Like the closest I've come recently to idolizing someone is I did have a little bit of a fangirl time.
Soviet Womble.
Warships, yeah. So things like that, things like that come up all the time, which is really cool about Twitch, and the internet in general. Is you get to, if you're open and you're looking and you're listening and you're watching, you really can meet a lot of people like that.
There's a lot of really awesome people. I know I've met people that I would never have met if I hadn't got into streaming myself, and just, hey, how's it going, man? I know people about their lives. I know about, the good things in their lives, the bad things in their lives. And when they come back, I'm like, yo, what's up, bro? How you doing? How's this? How's that? Because you actually, I don't know, I care about the people, and I know you do too. And it's always nice to hear that people that are doing well, that you consider friends. I consider them friends. And speaking of that, you went to TwitchCon. Any of those friends show up and come and see you at TwitchCon? I know I did, but that's like I bowed down to you and shit. But that's another story. But It's really interesting, TwitchCon, to me. It went like this. Hey, Venom, how's it going? Oh, hey, what's up? And then you like that look down to the tag. Oh, yeah, hey, I know you, man. What's up? That was in every conversation that I had. I know you because, we watch them. And even further on, when I would fanboy on somebody that I used to watch or I still watch or whatever, yo, hey, what's going on, man? I don't know who the hell you are. And then they see that because you are your username. And it's nice. Any of that?
Yeah, I had a couple people come find me, and I remember this one guy. I walk really fast,
yeah, you did.
Fast. I'm a power walker. I worked retail for over a decade, and I walk really fast. And I dip and dive through the crowds too. I just slide through people, and I was actually looking for a friend, and someone was like, Ashley, and I never actually respond to my name because do you guys know how many Ashleys there are in the world? And the fact that the word actually sounds like Ashley, which is a huge trigger in my life. I literally just but they caught up to me. They're like, Ashley, and I was like, holy hell, whoa. What is happening? They were like, I'm so sorry, I've been trying to catch you forever. Yeah, I love your stream. Thank you so much. Now that was really cool. I don't know if I reacted in the proper way because I was just so shocked and surprised. It was weird to me. It had not weird that they did it. It was just not normal, I guess, for me. Yeah. So who knows how I said or what I said or how I acted when he did it. Yeah, I was just zipping through things. But yeah, I wish that I'd taken pictures of people like that, but instead I was like.
Hey, it's a little off-putting at first,
Yeah.
Like, wait a second,
I met, I don't know if you know him in the community, but Ice Stuff X or Icebox.
Mm-hmm.
I just happened to be sitting beside him during a panel that I went to see. And at the end he was like, oh, hey. I was like, hey. But anyways, I think I met definitely more people at Anaheim than TwitchCon, but that makes sense because it's saturated with wargaming people.
As it should be. Well, we would hope.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So moving on to question number 8. Any tips in streaming to an aspire streamer or ships player that wants to get involved with Twitch?
I think the things that I learned the most in my progress and research was that you actually every single panel at TwitchCon, every single thing that I watched, it was like you got to be genuine first of all, and transparent and clearly friendly. Unless you're just like a god tier pro player, you got to be community focused, and even then. Unless you're just literally like a famous pro player, you probably got to be community focused. I mean, even people like Shroud, got that interaction with their chat.
Shroud's a god.
Yeah, he's a god. That's true.
Shroud's a god. All right, and finally, number 9 of the questions of averageness. What is your biggest tip in World of Warships for a new player?
My biggest tip is so silly, but it's the freaking interface. You gotta go turn all the stuff on. And I always have to visualize it. I just always go show them in game, but
that's what I do.
You gotta turn on that full interface. You gotta check all the boxes. You gotta check all the boxes on your mini-map. I keep saying this should all be default. I wish they would change it because it makes such a huge difference. Especially now that circle is on the minimap and you can really abuse that. If you don't have last known position markers on the minimap,
you're gonna get lost.
You're literally losing out on so much damage.
Not only potential damage, but information that
could save your life.
But the flow of the game. If you don't have those, you miss out on some of the flow of the game, and I think a lot of people miss out on that. And that's one thing is that unfortunately, myself, Ashley, your chat, and none of my chat can ever teach somebody understand the flow of the game unless they're paying attention to that mini map, and that's 100% my biggest tip is pay attention to that mini map. Set it up, last known names on them, so you know exactly what's coming around that corner or what area this guy should be in.
Yep. Yeah,
Definitely.
and I think with the changes to radar, it's going to be even more important. You know, you can't see when your teammate radars a ship, you can't see them for 6 seconds, but you can see them on the minimap if you have that last known position checked.
There you go. I think actually we'll talk about some of that here in a minute. But anyway, guys, there you go. 9 questions of averageness in the books. Do you feel a little bit more average? Caught you while you were drinking.
I think I feel average enough already.
Average enough already. Guys, if y'all have any more questions or comments or concerns that you guys would like to do, if you guys are over on the YouTube channel, leave them in the comment section below. Or if you guys are here in the actual live chat, where twitch.tv/SirVenomIK, you guys go ahead and put them into the chat at SirVenomIK or at Ashley, a.k.a. Ashley, and we will get to those questions a little bit later on. Which leads us into our first topic today. This is a hot button topic. And let's tell you a little story here. Not a month ago, people were complaining that CVs were too strong. They were inconsistent. Nobody played them. I think they said 4% of the players were actually playing the old CV style. That's 4% of players of 12,000 people. Somebody math that out. What's 4% of 12,000? Not many. Not many people were playing the old CVs. And so we knew for about a year, I think it was about a year, right, Ashley? We knew that a CV rework was coming. Hashtag Year of the Carrier, 2 years in a row. But they finally did it. They released it with 8.1. It was way too strong. The CVs were way too strong. What do you think? All right, so forget the hot fixes right now. Let's just talk about the initial release of the new CV line. What did you think of it?
Man, that is a loaded question.
It is a loaded question.
So I'm a huge fan of it. You know, yeah, I've had to explain this so many times in my chat, and I always know what's coming. Anytime someone asks me how I feel about the rework, they're gonna be like, "No, you're wrong." But you know, I felt the same way. For me, when I read the data, when I watched their dev blogs about it. That was the thing. What you said was what really stood out to me. The fact that only 4 or 5% of the player base would play TVs, to me, meant there's a major disconnect. It's broken and it needs to be fixed. To compare it to other games, I think if only 5% of the player base in League of Legends would play support class, then Riot would immediately make major changes to that class. The class has to be, from a business perspective, accessible to the broader player base. I think the best example or comparison in League of Legends would probably be jungle. Like, that's the class nobody wants to play. But they've done a lot of things to make it more accessible.
I think they've done a lot of things to make it a little bit easier for people to pick up. And as I know,
Exactly.
when I first started playing League of Legends, jungle wasn't something that I was... Of course, I was the guy that would take Wukong in the jungle like Season 2, and people would get mad at me. So whatever that means, I don't know. But I totally agree. Making things accessible to people, or making it to where people can pick it up easier, I believe is their goal here with this CV, because just to get people to actually play the damn things, because they spend all this time and I don't know. I feel like people, we want them to keep adding things on, so we need to play what they're giving us, and then if they do it and we like it, whatever, then, you know, if not, then we just end up in a big cesspool on Reddit.
Right. Yeah, and it's a controversial subject. It's been very polarizing for our community. You either are a terrible person for liking it, or you're a terrible person for hating it, is what it seems. But I feel like, I mean, again, I feel like it was needed. Definitely needed.
So it releases. Did you play any of the test outings? I know they had 3 testings.
No, I refused to join the test because I just wanted to see it in its final state. I myself had never played more than 2 games of the original CVs because I hated it. I found it boring and difficult and stressful, and I didn't like the RTS style of it. And it wasn't until the week before the new CVs launched that I played more than 2 games.
Oh,
And then
wow.
I
So
played
you waited a long, long time. You avoided it then.
because I knew that a rework was coming. I didn't feel like it was important for me to learn a very difficult class that was just going to change. So I made that conscious decision not to learn them. And
There
then
you
I
go.
played 12 hours of it the week before the new ones launched.
That was fun, and beat your head up against the wall trying to get those things
Yes.
done, right?
Yes,
I know. Before the rework, I think I'd work things up to about tier 7, and then I just got pooped on. I mean,
Yeah.
there was so much disconnect. I did okay at tier 4. Now when I played tier 4 and 5, it was before they took the manual strafing away, so you still had manual drops back then. That's when I played it, and I enjoyed playing tier 4 and tier 5. When they took it away, I think they kind of messed up the community that way, pushing the skill gap level and the starting learning of this thing at to 6. With that skill being said, the difference between me as a terrible CV player and say you as a fantastic CV player, that was totally different. I mean, I would go in there, I would play, you know, people with 45% win rate, and then I would play people with 60% win rate, and I was somewhere in the middle, and I would dominate them, and then I would just get absolutely hammered by the other guy. So there was no give or take here, and
Right.
you know, then some people didn't know about strafing, didn't know about the manual drops. I mean, we've said it a lot of times before that guy at tier 10 is auto dropping at tier 10. Why is he not manually dropping? So, when they made the fix, to me, I think it made it a lot more accessible to new people. Now it doesn't matter how bad these CVs are. It doesn't matter how good that CV is. He's not going to impact that other CV's gameplay. Is it necessary? Do you think that was necessary to take that counter CV play away?
I think it was definitely necessary to make it. I think that CVs in the old version had too much of an impact. You know, it was like how many players on each team? I always forget. Is
12.
it 12? So if one out of there's 2 teams of 12, and you've pretty much removed the 12v12, made it a 1v1 because the impact a highly skilled player can have on the game versus a lowly skilled player in those 1 ships. Like, who wants to play that? Like, what are the other 11 people on each team doing? Literally nothing. It's boring.
Trying to shoot down planes.
Yeah, it's just like not worth it. It was too lopsided. So, I do know that there are balance issues. You know, we've talked about Hackru and whatever, and they're working out trying to fix that stuff. But it definitely feels to me, outside of those one-offs, definitely more balanced. And they can't have that much, in my opinion, and in my experience, that much of an impact on the game outside of those people who learned how to abuse the hack within a week.
3 days.
Examples, you know?
3 days, yo. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I also think that one of my biggest frustrations with playing against something like a Midway at tier 10 in the old system was I remember one game in particular. I was on Trapped, and I had not even gotten to the middle island yet, and I was being dropped on in a Charles Martel, and he literally one-dropped me. And I'm like, I'm dead, and I'm so pissed off. I hate it. It's frustrating because if I'm going to die, fine, I'm going to die. But when you take the game out of my hands, that makes me want to not want to play. Because why should I ever come in and play against a carrier ever again if this guy can just one-shot me and hey, it becomes unfair, I believe. I feel, and becomes unbalanced, and that the tier 8 versus tier 10 dynamic in the old system was just ridiculous, especially for some cruisers that don't have strong AA, and they just get bang 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 bang, and then they die. So now it's a little annoying. They just kind of annoy you in mosquito bite you to death. I don't know what to call it.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I had actually a really bad first experience with AP Midway as well. Because I didn't realize I always used my defensive AA against the torpedo bombers. Always thought them to be more of a threat. And he baited out my defensive AA with the torpedo bomber, and then immediately, once it was down, came and deleted me with AP bomb. So I agree.
They were a little overpowered. All right.
Yeah.
So there you go. So then we make this transition into 8.0, and then the new the hotfix number 1 comes in. Then we have hotfix number 2. But before hotfix number 1, the CVs were too strong. They were way overpowered. Hacks dropping 500,000 damage games. You still got into tier 10 games. Nobody knew how the AA was supposed to work. They had actually removed an AA module that had been a staple for AA boats for a long time, and they give you this other one. And I don't really remember anybody saying that on the way up. Hey, we're removing this module. Maybe they did, but I wasn't paying attention, I guess.
I and then wasn't either.
Yeah, you have to replace this one, and then they move that one to the one at the end. And I'm just like, there's so much to do. So I got really pissed off when I could not shoot down one plane in my Atlanta. Flying over me the entire time, just dropping, and there's nothing I could do about it. That goes back to that frustration part that I'm feeling with the way that these first things had been implemented. So the second fix happens. What'd you think of the first hotfix?
I didn't get to play much of the first hotfix, I think, before they released the second one, but I know that, and maybe it's because I didn't play at tier 8 as much, but when I heard a lot of complaints from people that in their CVs they weren't, after the first hotfix, they were saying like they literally couldn't do any damage. Their planes were just getting shredded. The AA was too strong. I literally didn't experience that. I had higher damage games in my CVs after the first hotfix than I did before it. So I just couldn't figure out what people were talking about, I guess. But I know everyone was saying the AA was just too strong after the first hotfix.
I tend to agree. I thought it was pretty close. They just needed to pull it back. They'd kind of overdone it on some of the things, and I believe they might have had this hotfix ready to go since the implementation of the CV rework, just as a balance. Okay, well, let's leave it here. Now let's do this in this section, and then they put out the hotfix number 2 after that. It was definitely a little bit too strong, but I felt that even though it was too strong, I felt it was kind of more fair. I was more fair than the original onset, because now the hack's doing this 500,000 damage. They really can't do anything because they're dropping from so far away. The DDs are still being spotted, and that's a whole nother debacle of issues that's polarizing as well. And then the AA, you're able to get maybe one drop before your planes are gone, and it was a little bit more fair, I thought, to the CVs versus the. It's a back and forth, They got this little arm of justice balancing everything out, and it just shifted a little bit toward the AA boats. And now with the hotfix that they released not just a couple of days ago, hotfix number 2, so it's 8.0.2 at this point, it is kind of shifted back in the favor where it's even closer to being balanced, and they're just kind of just on that radio dial, just fine-tuning it in so you can get rid of all the static. And I don't think nobody's going to be 100% happy with it, but if we can find some kind of common ground, I think it's really good. Right now, I think it's still pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still bad with them, so I tried to play the tier for the Langley today, and I couldn't get more than 20k damage. I don't know if that's the case with people that are actually good in the CVs, or if it's the case with higher tier CVs. I'm not certain.
I'm finding 2 and 3 ships are hard to approach. But you can approach 2 and 3 ships if you use the terrain. So you can fly over islands. The islands make you go up and down, and you scatter over some of that flak to maybe you can dodge a little bit more flak on your way in. You are going to take damage. You are going to drop. You are going to get damage. Now, how much depends on how risky you want to be. Do you want to make one drop, hit F, and then send your planes back? That's all on you.
Yeah, well, and I also think that part of the balance issue that's difficult to approach at the moment, it didn't feel that way today, but in my previous games or my previous streams, it felt like I saw a lot more of the 2 and 3 CVs per match because everybody's playing CVs. And then on the other side, everybody used their free respecs to respec all of their ships to being anti-air builds. And so once that all dies down and goes back to normal and people just, some people choose to do an AA build, some people choose not to. And you're seeing like only one CV per game. I think once that happens, the balance will feel even way more different
Oh,
because
absolutely.
you'll have more ships to approach as a CV player. As a non-CV player, you'll have to worry less about CVs, less about planes, so you'll probably go back to your normal builds. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I tend to agree. From what I've gathered, I played a little bit of CVs last night after I got done playing with ranked season, and I didn't really feel inferior. Well, let's put it this way: I felt inferior at tier 8, being against tier 10s. I could still drop on some of the lighter AA boats. I could still get one drop on them before I lost my planes, which is it should be. It's tier 8 versus tier 10. They shouldn't be able to just fly around with impunity. So I felt it was fair, frustrating, but fair. And when I was at top tier, I still lost planes. I mean, the playing versus a North Carolina, you're going to lose planes. You might still get a drop, maybe even get 2 drops of them, but you're probably going to lose your whole squad. Versus playing against a Minotaur at tier 8, it's just ridiculous. I mean, just be smart, know where that guy is, and don't go there.
Don't go there.
Don't go there. I mean, that guy has AA. I mean, most of the British cruisers have that similar style of AA to where it's just a no-fly zone. You just can't do it. So I think that it was a little bit too down here, and then they brought it back a little bit, and now it's just a fine tuning. Let's push this up. Let's pull this back. Let's adjust ranges. Let's adjust damages now, and I think they're really, really close. They're really close. They're not done, obviously they're not done because they said that there was more changes incoming, but they're very close. In my opinion, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like I said, I feel like as someone who's not very good at the CVs, it's harder to judge. But just because I myself can't get that damage, and I haven't had the chance to watch anybody. But it feels, without the data, it definitely to me feels more balanced. I wish that I could do more damage, but I also don't think I want personally, I don't think I want CVs doing the same level of damage that a battleship player does. Do you know what I
mean? I understand. I understand the sentiment.
On average, I mean, as an average,
Well, no. I mean,
right.
I don't know. Good CVs are going to find a way. Good CV players are going to find a way to have 80,000, 90,000, 100,000 average damage, no matter what they do.
That's fine at tier 10. I just don't want to see that a lot in like tier 5 or 6, Fair
enough. Personally. Fair enough. I don't want to see it either. I don't want to see it either. Yeah, I do.
I
do
think
also.
Should be the strongest class because they also have that capability for spotting and zoning and stuff.
I agree. Yes, 100%. Yes, they are very strong and they have the ability to control the game in the past, and I definitely don't want them to be able to control the game as much as they did. Take some of that power away from them and leave it to the rest of the team to make up for whatever the CV loses in that. What do you think about one-on-one? Like, I am struggling to kill people one-on-one. Like, it's like
like one-on-one in a CV, or what do you mean?
Yeah, well, not just the CV, but like, say you're going up against a battleship or whatever, and you're trying to kill this guy and whittle him down. I am finding it ever so hard to actually. It takes 7, 8 drops to actually get this guy down. I find it very tough. I mean, you're dropping 1, maybe 2 torpedo drops on the guy. You're flicking back to bombers, bringing those out. Then you're flicking back to rockets, bringing those out. Your torpedoes are back. Now I'm finding 7, 8, 9 returns flights going back just to try to kill one battleship. Have you had this experience?
Yeah, but I don't know. It feels fair to me. Like I said, I haven't done a lot of damage, but I've also only, like today, I only played the tier 4.
Right.
But unless the battleship is giving me his broadside as another battleship, it's gonna take me that many salvos. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't usually citadel battleships myself, so I'm not the player that's going to just eliminate another battleship in a few salvos. So to me, it taking a CV player that many returns feels fair. I don't think they should be able to just one and done a battleship. I
don't want them to one shot the guy, but I don't feel like I have a real shot at this guy, at killing this guy, at any point in time. And I don't know, maybe that's a little bit of a drawback to the CV rework, and if that is the only drawback to the CV rework, is I can't just really, I need to kill this guy, okay, let's go kill him, and I spend the next 10 minutes trying to kill one guy. That's a little frustrating.
Oh yeah.
And you really have to sacrifice what's left on the board to focus that guy down. Same thing with the spotting of a DD. You can go spot and make this DD's life miserable, but what are you giving up?
Now the DDs are where I felt, and did they balance that out a little bit yet?
I think the removal of some of the attack aircraft wasn't supposed to be till 8.1. If I remember
the rockets versus DDs, that's the one place that I felt like I was really excelling. I was hitting way too much I felt like I was hitting way too much damage on DDs. But I personally was also focusing on DDs, not battleships, which might be why I've had such a hard time getting very much damage. But I felt like the damage was useful, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. So that leads us to the next thing, the spotting mechanic of DDs. That's been a very hot topic as well, especially starting from 8.0, where that guy could just sit there and fly around him for the entire 20 minutes and just...
People have complained about that, but you could do that with the old CVs. And while you were doing it with the old CVs, you could also have a torpedo bomber and a dive bomber somewhere on the board harassing somebody else. So here now, the difference between... you sacrifice that. You can either perma-spot a DD, or you can have a larger impact game. So it sucks to be that DD, though. The
difference between the way it was then to what I see the way it is now is that now that CV, not only can he perma-spot him, but he can kill him with just that one squad. Which I don't know if I agree with it the way that it's working now, but it is a thing, and DD players are having to relearn the way to play,
I'll tell you, a few of the things that I've learned as a DD player, because at first I was really feeling that struggle, especially when there are 3 CVs in the game, but I don't see that anymore. But one of the things I had to learn was make sure I turn my AA off, and then they have less of a spotting, unless they have RPF, which then you're just screwed. But
yeah, I was going to say something about that.
Yeah, but the other thing is, I started having to use my smoke, and it sucks to have to use your smoke for a CV, but they get bored and tired of sitting there, especially if you're a USDD and have a long smoke. They usually leave, and then I've been able to get out of it that way. And then also, when I was playing CVs, what I figured out was it was really difficult to hit a DD player that was turning in a circle. And so now, when the rockets or the dive bombers are trying to hit me, I just start turning in a circle. And people are missing me a lot more than they used to. So, what you said, that you just have to relearn some of those skills or...
I think that goes a long way. I think that goes a long way for everybody out there that just paid attention to what Ashley said there. Is it's going to take time to relearn how to play the game again. And a lot of people, and I'm one of them, man. When I'm one of them, man, I hate change. I know, Ashley, I don't know about you. Do you like change at all?
I don't mind change.
She don't mind change. She's pretty flexible with the change. I hate it. I hate change because I've done it for so long and I've gotten good at it. Now I have to go back and feel inferior while I'm relearning this thing. So people don't like change, and I totally understand it. But if you want to adapt and be a overall better player, mentally better player, actually, then you have to adapt to it and understand that no matter what your thoughts are, no matter how much ruckus that you create in forums, threads, Reddits, whatever, it's here to stay, and just kind of get used to it, or you're gonna be miserable. Gonna be miserable. All right, guys, we're hanging out with Ashley, aka Ashley. Ashley, any other things that you found with these hot fixes and the CVs that you enjoyed or that you didn't really like that we haven't talked about yet?
No, like I said, I just really didn't. I didn't feel the problems. It just feels more balanced, There was nothing that I was just like, oh yeah, thank God for this hot fix, or. Like I wasn't the person that was like doing 500k damage or having 500k damage done to me before the hot fix. So I don't know. I'd like to wait and see if someone's able to break that again. Do you know what I mean?
I don't like. I think with the way that they've changed the AA, they toned it down enough to where those planes are going to die. He's not going to have that potential for that damage anymore. Now, you never know. I might be wrong, but. I don't think the potential's there for 500,000 anymore with the way the AA is working now.
And of course, I've seen complaints from those similar players after the first hotfix. Oh, I can't do any damage. I can't get my planes through. But again, like I didn't experience that. I was still able to get my planes through. I don't know if I was just lucking out and like the ships I was versing as a CV player or what. Because I just didn't have that experience. It literally felt the same to me. I don't know. It's weird.
I agree with you. I've had some experiences with it. You say something about those guys that are complaining that they couldn't do any damage. Those are the same guys. Look at what I can do. Look at how broken your crap is. Look at what I can do. Now that they can't do it, they're complaining that they can't do damage. Mm-hmm. Those are the same people. So you got to kind of take like some of the criticism and some of the heat that has been thrown back into Wargaming's face over this thing, and just like kind of take it with a grain of salt, because what are your stats? Well, you played this 30 times while it was broken, and now because you're not getting that broken damage, you're not playing it anymore. So
I don't think any ship, I don't think any person should be able to consistently do like an average of 200k damage in a ship.
No, I totally agree.
Like at any tier. So I'm glad people can't do that a broken amount of damage.
There you go.
For me, it's not about my play. It's about knowing that they can't do that.
No, I'm not going to they're not going to just dominate me where there's nothing that I can do about it.
Exactly.
No, all right. That's fair enough. And I do appreciate that sentiment, too, because God knows I hate it. Throw up my hands and yell at the freaking RNGesus candle. Come on, give me somebody that's not that guy.
Come on.
All right, guys, we're hanging out with Ashley, a.k.a. Ashley. You guys can hit her up on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Ashley, a.k.a. Ashley, right there on the screen. You guys can also hit her up on our Twitter, Ashley, a.k.a. Ashley as well. You guys can hit me up right here, twitch.tv/ServantOfMyK if you guys want to have an active conversation, or if you guys want to hit me up on the Twitter, at Sir_Venom_IK. If you guys are on YouTube, questions, comments, and in the section below, and we'll get to those as soon as I can. We will also have a Q&A session at the end of the show for about maybe 10 minutes or so, depending on Ashley's time, because I know she's probably getting hungry. And
I'm actually good.
I ate
cool.
On stream. Awesome. So if you guys have any questions, man, at Sir_Venom or at SirVenomIK or at Ashley, aka Ashley, and we will address those later on. So, guys, let's move into the radar and the flooding changes. Now, this is another hot button topic about radar, and man, radar, in my opinion, before moving forward here, let me just go with my opinion here. I think radar lasts too long and goes too far. That's the problem that I have with radar. There's no risk, and there's all the reward. There's no balance in the way radar is now, currently. Because a guy at 9.9 kilometers in the Demonies doesn't have to push out. Now, I am also of the ilk that the Salem is the most balanced radar boat out there because it's 8.5. He has to risk something to get that radar and be effective with that radar. All right? So let's just put that out of the way. Ashley, what are your thoughts on current instance of radar?
I guess it's never really bothered me, but, you know, I guess I hadn't really been playing too long when, you know, they split the U.S. line and suddenly there were millions of ships with radar. So to me, it's just like life is normal. As a DD player, what I try to do when I'm playing smart and think about it is bait out a radar before I go back and cap the point.
That is a very smart play. I know you see it a lot in ranked season. You see it a lot in the tier 10 ranked seasons in the seasons past. Go in there, touch that, bait that radar out. Okay, they only have one radar ship. All right, I got to wait 50 seconds. Now let's back up into it. And once it's gone. So yeah, that's kind of the way you've had to play it.
So what I do enjoy about the thought of the change is everything being, what's the word? Like made the same, standardized. Because the problem I have as a player that can't remember all these numbers that you guys managed to memorize is just that. I can't ever remember the time or distance that each individual ship's radar. Thank God I have Twitch chat, right?
That's exactly. Hey, how long are this guy's torpedoes? How long is this radar? How far is this radar? Yeah,
right.
We've all done it at some point in time. So with the standardization that she's talking about, guys, I'd link something into the chat, and for you guys over on YouTube, I'll leave the link in the comment descriptions below, or in the description below. About the standardization across the board here. So Edinburgh radar, Neptune radar, Minotaur radar, it's all going from 9, 9.4, and 9.9 to a standard 10 across the board, bringing something very powerful to the Edinburgh in and of itself. The all of the American radar, the Baltimore, the Buffalo, the Demonies, the Indianapolis, the Alaska, are all going to 10 kilometers. They also said the Salem will remain at 8.5, and the Wichita will remain at 9 kilometers. Now, I guess that's a new boat. I haven't played it, so I don't know nothing about it. All of the Russians, the Chappie, the Dmitry Donskoy, the Kronstadt, the Moskva, and the Stalingrad are going from 11.7 to 12 flat. That is extra range for these things. Woo, that's a long range. For the rest of them, Cleveland, Seattle, Worcester are going to go to 9 kilometers, and the Atlanta is going to be 8.5, and the surveillance radar from the Missouri from 9.45 to 9.5 solid. Well, the one thing that I hated about the radar now is the ranges, and they're all getting extended. Your thoughts on extending the radar ranges?
I guess to me, 1 kilometer is the most that I see, and most of these are like 0.1 to 0.5. It just doesn't bother me at all. Because I was already going to do that same thing. Again, if I'm being smart and I'm thinking about it, if I'm like going, oh, where are the radar cruisers? Which I don't always. But if I'm doing that, and then to me, with that 1 kilometer or 0.1 kilometer is really not going to make any difference.
Not really. And like we're talking 0.3 kilometers, 300 meters for the Russians, and I think we're getting 1 full kilometer on the Edinburgh, half a kilometer on some of these others. Does it really make a difference? Not really.
But I think the biggest part is that 6 seconds you have to only be shot at by one person, and I can guarantee 9 times out of 10 that one person that is the only person that could actually shoot you is not in a position to shoot you, right? Because usually they position themselves behind an island. Maybe they have an angle on you ship, but usually they're not going to radar in a position where they themselves can be shot.
No, this is the fundamental. This is what I was getting at, the fundamental flaw with the radar that it is now, because they don't have to risk anything to get that radar off, and all the risk is on the on the destroyer that's being radared at the time.
Right, but that destroyer now has 6 seconds to try to escape. And 6 seconds seems like enough time, usually, to get out of that point, as long as you're not sitting still in your smoke. But I think it's all about relearning tactics, changing the way that you play the game. I am very guilty about, because I mostly play mid-tiers, a lot of times I forget when I go to those high-tier games, hey, don't rush straight to that point, smoke up in your, Farragut. You can't do that in a Benson, right? Because there's going to be radars that are going to ruin your day.
Right.
And so, to me, it's just about, really teaching deities to stop doing that. And to be very conscious about where the radar cruisers are, or I say cruisers, where the radar is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the world's worst at forgetting Missouri has a battleship, and then I'm like, oh, crap!
Oh, my gosh, I was guilty of that yesterday, too. Was like, cool, they ain't got no radars. And the chat was like, the Missouri has a radar. I was like, shit.
God dang it.
Yeah, so now I gotta play smart. I gotta figure out where that guy is and then play according to what that radar is gonna do. All right. So not only that, so those are the standardizations of the radar range. Some of the surveillance radars are going to add some time. Now these times they're not too terrible. This goes into the second section of what I found detrimental to the game of the length of the radar. The black is going up 2 seconds. The Henshin Yang's going up from 15 to 20. Chung Mu's going from 17 to 22. Yu Yang is going from 20 to 25. The Donskoy and the Kronstadt are going to 25 seconds, up from 20. The Moskva and Stalingrad are going to 30 seconds. These are 5 seconds, 7 seconds at some of these things, 2 seconds on one of them. Not too much impact. What I think they need to do, on the other hand, is lower some of the times from those Americans, because they're 45 to almost a minute, and you can get them out there forever. So maybe they pull some of those back. I would like to see them do that, just to give it a little bit of difference there. Thoughts on the times?
Are you good at math? Are you a really good math person?
Me?
I'm not.
The Twitch chat's good at math. They're good at everything. Right. They're know-it-alls.
Here's what I would like to know. I may have to talk to April White about this. I would like to know, right? For your, say, 5 second increased duration with wait, hold on. You got 6 seconds to escape a range that's maybe an additional 1 kilometer if a DD goes how fast? What's an average speed of a DD?
32. Let's just say 32. I know it's faster than that, but let's just say 32.
In 6 seconds, how far can you get away from them to try to get out of that range or behind an island? Then I don't know. I'm just trying to think of statistically, really, how much can that extended range and that slightly extended time really impact you? Because I feel like DDs are the ones that are the most impacted, but it seems like they're being given that perfect opportunity to, first of all, if they're aware of their surroundings, put themselves in a position where they have islands to escape behind, or they have, or they're not deep. You know what I mean? Deep in the point. So most times a radar goes off a DD is stationary. But that's my point, Feck, is that you gotta... I think it's just going to change the way DDs play.
It's
in the end, be aware of where those radar cruisers are. Who is radared? Have you baited any radars out? And have you left yourself an escape plan?
Yeah, it's fair enough. It's a fair enough assessment. So I've gone through and I've said all the negative things that I disagree with these changes. Right? Too long. They go too long. They last. They go too far and they last too long. Right? Now, in the end, when you sit here and you really look at it, now I'm going to tout on it a little bit, and the reason why I'm going to like this change is because it's a wash. It's a complete 100% wash. They're making basic changes. That's really, is it going to impact anything? It's going to impact one thing, and it actually helps the DDs out. As soon as that radar pops up, you're not bombarded by 18 different people sitting at 30 kilometers just firing everything that they have into you. That is the one bonus that I like about this radar change, is the fact that right now you get radared 30 people are shooting at you, or 30 guns are shooting at you at least. And with this one, now you have a little bit of leadway time, so you can start making your escape. Maybe you can pre-dodge some shots that are already coming in because you probably got these other guys spotted. It's a good thing. I'm really looking forward to this radar change. What do you think about that? It's basically the delay time.
I mean, the delay time is definitely the positive point. Is what they're trying to do. I'm also trying to think of like, maybe I want to know the math on like if you are sitting stationary in a point, how fast can an average DD go? How far in that 6 seconds? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm just interested to see how it would impact the game. I tested it out on the test server and I had no problems with it. I actually really liked it. What I was saying earlier about how I think it's more critical to have the last known position markers on your minimap. I'm interested to see how good players in randoms are going to punish me as a DD who can't see me. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm not really going to know how I feel about this until it goes live.
Right. Are you one to go to the test server? I'm not one to go off on the test server because I like to experience it with everybody else, and they can get my natural, honest reactions or whatever. But are you one to go test things on the servers?
It depends on what it is. I didn't want to do the CVs because I wanted to just know them as they were. I didn't want to have to learn them and then relearn them and then But for the radar changes, we did go check them out last weekend. I'm absolutely in love with the new, I don't know what you would call it, the like visual indicator for if your teammate has radared or hydro.
Well, if he's using it at that time, is that what it is?
No, unfortunately, it doesn't last for the duration. It only tells you when they did it, and then it goes off after a window, like a small window. That's the one change I would like to see personally, is I wish it was up for the entire duration of when your teammate was using it. And then it says in chat also that they did it, but there's no timestamps in chat, so you may look over there and see that's the Minnow or the Des Moines radar, but it's like, when did they say that? You don't know.
Yeah.
If you didn't see it pop up. So, and then there's also this really cool, like, when a ship behind you, like, radars, this, like, cool light pulse goes out, and you can see the radar go out. So it's like another visual indicator that someone has done.
Somebody's radared. I think.
Yeah, it's very nice.
I think some of the most frustrating thing, and I know when you play in a division, what you do on Saturdays, sub Saturdays or sub Thursdays or Sundays.
Saturdays,
sub Saturdays for her. When you play in a division and there's multiple radars on, and you're generally, I know I am all the time in voice comms, and I know generally you're in voice comms on Saturdays. It's guys, I'm about to radar. Hold yours. I'll radar first. And this gives another opportunity for visual aids and not having to type into the chat because it takes time. Enter. Oh crap! I sent it to the division. Crap! Let me put it out there. I will radar first. It's a little bit easier, and it's kind of a quality of life change for players playing with other players that have radar, so they don't over radar or double radar at the same time, so they can be more effective with their radars. So I like that change as well.
Oh yeah, especially because I don't actually read chat most of the time. I don't in games. I just playing League of Legends. I learned that in-game chat was a toxic cesspool that no one wanted to venture into, so I just stopped reading in-game chats. It's a habit I'm trying to break, but I've got my Twitch chat that I'm trying to read, and I've got the game I'm trying to focus on, and if I'm in a div, then I have someone in my ear that I'm also trying to focus on. I can't also read in-game chat. I don't know how you people do it.
I don't know, man. I end up reading too much into the chat, and I end up getting baited into what's the word I'm looking for here? Not a constructive conversation. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. See, you don't want to go there. You just cut it off, man.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it makes for good content on the show. I don't know. People like it. Baron's chat and World of Warships, man. Or anyway. So there you go. Any last minute comments on radar? Good, bad, whatever. Indifferent.
Like I said, I'm pretty indifferent to the changes. I'm excited to see. Like I said, I want to see it in the live game before I really give an opinion on how it'll impact me as a DD player. I mean, clearly it feels positive as non-DDs, right? As this cruiser, a radar cruiser, definitely feels positive. But
I think it's positive for both sides, yeah.
For me, I will really have a true opinion once I see how it's going to affect me as a DD and how I have to change my playstyle to make it work.
Well, that's the same thing. That's the same thing. We're of the same mind here because when I first started streaming, I would make these this boat sucks, and they're like, dude, you played it twice. Shut up. And okay, well, fine. Let me play it some more times. Okay, fine. I get it. I get this boat. I understand this boat now, and I still don't like it. And then they tell you that you don't know how to play it. And I'm like, well, you just watched me play it, and I know what I'm doing. Anyway, that's the frustrating part about it. But especially with something as big change as radar or even the carriers, I tried to hold my judgment for it and wait to see. Because I wanted to go into it with an open mind, but I did have a little bit of concerns. I don't really have too many concerns about the radar change other than how's it actually going to impact, and we won't know that until I actually get there and play 4 or 5, 50 games when I'm being radared, because not all the time there's radar everywhere. So,
Oh yeah, definitely.
And then all the times you got all the radars and they have none, or vice versa. I mean, there's so many different situations where radar can be effective and can be overpowered, and then their radar could just be non-existent. So that's always something to look forward to. So, all right, guys, we're hanging out. We're gonna go into the flooding change. Now, this is something that for a battleship player, it's going to be a nice welcome change. They're going to get on more floods, double floods. What do you think about double floods compared to what it is now?
Double floods, but much less damage.
Oh, absolutely, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so, I believe that was on the test server. I'm pretty sure that was on the test server.
I believe it was.
Iteration. I kept trying. I played CVs. I kept trying to, figure that out, how that impacted me. I got the same amount of damage, same amount of floods. I couldn't figure it out. I tried playing a battleship and tried to get torped. And I was like, no, this feels exactly the same. So, I mean, ideally they've said that you'll get a lot less damage. I do know how it sucks if you have to, choose between damage conning a double fire, knowing that there's a DD nearby. So, the chance of them getting a double flood in one rack is slim. So it makes that choice a little easier, I think.
I think it's interesting. One of my biggest concerns with the CV rework was how many more fires am I going to be on? How many more fires, how many more floods am I going to be on now? And my damage control party isn't going to be up to the task of repairing all of this stuff, and I'm just going to burn out and flood out even more now. Well, When that actually happened, it's really pretty much non-existent. I mean, it didn't make an impact at all whatsoever, so my concerns were... They were there, but they've been alleviated because it doesn't matter. I'm on the same amount of fires as I was before. I'm on the same amount of floods as I was before.
Except for the hack, right?
Well, honestly, I never really experienced the hack. I mean, I was playing the lower tiers. I know when people were doing the 500,000 damage games, I was spending 30 games in tier 6 trying to get through the Ranger and the Ryujo trying to get to tier 8. So I missed out on experiencing that, but I'm kind of glad I didn't because nobody wants to get flooded that much.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see once it all hits live.
That's pretty
I tried
much
to
all
do
we
my
can
due diligence and experience it, and I couldn't. So I do know, people. One of the biggest complaints I have that I hear is God, these stupid HE spammers, right? Everybody hates someone that's constantly catching them on fire, and it feels like a dirty trick, and people don't want to deal with it. So I think it alleviates some of that frustration because now you're going to feel a little bit more allowed to damage con it when you know that there's a potential flood coming as well.
Right. And I think Sub Octavian even stated this that flooding should not be one flood and you're dead.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know how many times you guys repair that flood, you're not paying attention, or maybe the guy comes out of nowhere who's never been spotted, and bam, then you get hit by a torpedo, and then you flood for 80% of your hit points.
Yeah, you just keep flooding.
And
right?
I'm just like, oh
Been
my
there.
gosh. So these floods will hit you, and they will cause damage, but it's a lot less damage than it used to be, and which is great. I know for the battleship guys out there, for even the cruiser destroyer guys out there, this is a welcome change for them. Even though they will be on 2 floods, you're still, for those 2 floods will equal less than what 1 flood does in the current iteration. So I'm pretty happy with the flooding changes. Did they give numbers? Let's see if we can find some numbers here. HP loss from 1 instance of flooding per second. Aircraft carriers, Kronstadt, Stalingrad, all battleships, cruisers and destroyers, and then Admiral Graf Spee. These are all different here. Before it was 0.667 per tick. Now aircraft carriers is 0.25. 0.5 for the Kronstadt, Stalingrad, and all the battleships. Cruisers and destroyers are 0.25, which is a huge nerf, and then 0.375 for the Graf Spee and the other Graf Spee, both of them. So huge nerf, man, huge nerf. Almost, I don't know what 667 to 2.25 is, but that's a lot. 50%. I don't know. I don't know the math on this one. I can't do it very quickly. You got like a 50% lowering, look like a 25% lowering, and then another 50% lowering for cruisers and destroyers. So your damage is definitely going to be there, but it's going to be a lot less. But you can get more floods, so who knows?
You know, I hadn't actually looked at that, but this is a funny meme example of Russian bias here with those 2 cruisers that are keeping 0.5. I hadn't seen that.
Well, they're pretty strong, and I wonder. That kind of makes me wonder if, like, the Azuma and the Alaska are going to be in that same category as well, since they're technically
they're
super
battle
cruisers,
cruisers.
yeah, the battle cruisers or whatever.
What is the range on those? Do you know the range on those torpedoes for the Kronstadt and Stalingrad?
Kronstadt and Stalingrad don't have torpedoes.
Oh, then what is the wait?
That's the flood chance. That's the damage of flood
take.
percentages that you take. Yeah.
Oh, then the opposite. That's the opposite of.
That is a nerf to the Russian guys. Yeah. Well, in their. Yeah, it's a nerf to them because
so
the rest of the
you
cruisers
want
are
to
better.
flood out. You want to aim your floods at Kronstadt, Stalingrad, and all battleships.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So. There's also one other thing that we need to talk about is the fact that instead of 1 flood, you are now on 2 floods max, which means inevitably, guys, my RNG is so bad in this game that I will be on 4 fires and 2 floods at least 3 times within the first week of this. It will just happen. It will just happen. But either way, each of those 2 sections, you can have the front half of the section and the back half of the section. Once you are flooded in the front half of the section, you cannot get flooded again until that one repairs. So if you are flooding and there's more torpedoes coming in, go ahead and turn that flood part. If you're flooded in the front, go ahead and swing that nose around and take a torpedo. If you're flooded in the back, swing that fat butt around and just take some more damage right into the aft. So there you go. What are your thoughts? Final thoughts here, and then we'll move on into the Q&A section.
Yeah, like I said, that's interesting. With you definitely want to focus your torpedoes on battleships, and then whatever they're called, battle cruisers, strong cruisers. What did you call them? Super cruisers?
I called them super cruisers. I remember somebody out there had said super cruisers, so I
guess is what you really wanted to do anyways.
Right.
So, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it feels. Like I said, I already tried to experience it and didn't feel anything, but I definitely, the people playing on the test servers, skill level seems to sometimes be different than the live
Bots.
server, so we'll see how someone can abuse me later.
There you go. Guys, we're hanging out with Ashley, a.k.a. Ashley. If y'all, now is the time for the Q&A session. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns about anything that we talked today, for you guys over on YouTube, leave them in the comment section down below, and I will get to those. And if you guys are here on the actual Twitch channel, twitch.tv/SirVenomIK, leave them in the chat at SirVenomIK or at Ashley, a.k.a. Ashley, or hit them up with one of the mods, and I will pull them up, and we will prompt these. Now, guys, if y'all are looking for that information about the flooding and the radar changes, I do have it right here if you guys would like it. Hold on, let me copy pasta this again and put it into the chat. And like I said, for you YouTube guys, it'll be down in the description below. So there we go. Woo! What a day! What a day! All right. So Ashley, here we go. You ready for the Q&A session?
Oh my gosh! I already see the first question.
All right. So the fluffy sniper ducko says. For a Q&A session, my most favorite and hated ships from each country or class of ship.
Oh, that's a real question. I was looking at Damios's question. Wait, say it again. Most favorite or hated?
What's your favorite? Hold on, let me Control Z this. What is your most favorite or hated ship from each country or class of ship?
Well, my most favorite ship. It's hard to say. I really like USDDs, just in general, except for the Mayhem. Screw that ship. I also really love Russian. I love French battleships, except for the Leon. Hate that ship.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
Whoa, you're like the second person ever that's ever.
I don't like it either. It doesn't.
No one
it
ever
doesn't.
agrees with me. I hate that ship.
It doesn't fit my play style. I don't like it.
It doesn't flow with the Mayhem Bay. I just hate it. I don't know. I can't explain to you why I struggle so much in it. I do think it has something to do with radars, because I was a god in the Farragut, and then I hit Mayhem, and I was like, this is awful.
The Mayhem struggles until you max it out. Once you max it out, then it gets a little bit better, and then the Benson, and so on and so on. But it gets better past that one. There's always, it seems to me that there's always one boat in the line that I just does not click with me and just kind of sours me on that entire line. Like the Gneisenau at tier 7 for me. That's probably my most hated ship in this game. I cannot stand that boat.
Really?
No, I do not like it. And I do not like any of the other battleships past that either, but that's for different reasons. And then like the Mogami, I couldn't stand playing the Mogami, even though it's a good boat. I know it's a good boat. I just didn't like it. The Donskoy.
Yeah, I don't think I like that one either.
Couldn't play the Donskoy to save my life. Like, I mean, there's so many, but my favorite, the Atlanta. I've recently passed over 2 million free XP on that Atlanta, and that was the first premium ship that I ever got. Now it's a little bit different because of the AA change, but it still holds near and dear to my heart. Mm-hmm. So it's your all-time favorite then? Did you say that? I don't know if you said that.
I couldn't. I really couldn't.
All right.
I love the USDD line.
Okay.
It's like something somewhere in there. I don't know.
There you go. Also, Stabber Nation says, "Really, you don't hate the Omaha? I can't stand those boats either. But I hate the Gneisenau worse than I hate the Omaha. Omaha and the Marblehead and the Murmansk are probably the worst boats in this game because they're just floating citadels. I don't care how good they used to be; they're not good now. You can shoot them in the smokestack and explode them from 7 citadels just by sitting there. That's how bad they are, man.
Even when they're angled, there's no angling in
There's
Omaha.
no angling, yeah." All right, the Brute Squad says, "I just want to say I love the hat, Ashley."
Oh yeah, okay.
There you go. She loves the hats. Very Boring says, "Us old-timey gamers are more patient mostly, and all that waiting on the games to load from a cassette." We're going back to load times. You know what? I honestly, I think that if they did go to +1, -1 on CVs, I think it would alleviate a lot of the problems. But also, do we really want people sitting in that queue for 8 minutes? I don't know.
No.
I
was going to say that's something I used to say until I started playing on the PTS server, and the load time, the wait time there is pretty long, and I realized, no, I don't want to wait that long.
No, you don't want to wait that long.
So it's a hard balance. Yeah. I understand why they kept it at plus and minus 2. Even though I would prefer to play it plus and minus 1.
Plus and minus 1. Well, I guess that goes and extends into a little caveat on this one, but what about the double CBs at tier 10 and tier 8?
Oh, I'm glad that they're going to limit those. Right? Didn't they say?
They said their ultimate goal was to go 1 at tier 8 and tier. I don't think it's too much of a thing at 6, 4 and 6, but 8 and 10 can really screw everybody over. But
well,
all right,
it goes back to that perma spotting the entire enemy
right.
team.
Yeah.
You have more than one.
Too much control. Queen of the Noob says slow and boring later becomes a battleship main. That's right.
Yeah. I'm not a battleship main. I just happen to love French battleships, man.
I think they're really, really good. Do you consider yourself a main on anything? I never considered myself. I play only this.
I mean, I don't. I would say I have the most fun playing DDs, if that
there you
can.
Go. I've noticed in a lot of the people, myself, streamers or whatever, they start out playing something that they can. Well, me personally, I started out playing battleships and cruisers, and then I was not confident in the destroyers at all. And it took somebody to say, "Hey, come with me, let's go play DDs." And I was like, man, but I'm bad. And he's like, I don't care, just come play anyway. And I figured out that I could control the game a little bit more in destroyers than I can in any other class, albeit caps or spotting or whatever the situation entails, and I just enjoy that more. So I end up playing those in ranked season a lot more.
Yeah, I tried to play DDs in the beginning when I first started playing, and I pink too often. I was fearful of doing that. And also people were always yelling at me. It was like no matter what I did, they were like, go cap, and then they're like, no, stay away from the cap.
Yeah.
Or like, sit in that smoke, or they would be like, hey, don't sit in that smoke. And I just found it very overwhelming, and it wasn't until I started playing the USDD line that I found I was like, oh, this is my playstyle. Like,
right.
This is literally my playstyle. And that's what still hasn't stopped doing that. That's true.
That's funny you say that.
True.
It's funny you say that when people come in and they ask, and I know you probably get it in your channel over there at twitch.tv/Ashley, AKA Ashley. Yeah, hey man, we got to plug it somehow, right? You get it. While I'm a new player to the game, what do you suggest that I start on? And if I said it all depends on how you want to play. If you want to play battleships, go up this line. It's pretty noob friendly. If you want to play destroyers, the American destroyers is where I send them first.
Always, me too.
That's not any reason. I don't like one DD line over the other one. It's just that it's the one that's the most consistent. You get to use your guns a lot, and you force yourself to use those guns, because there are a lot of people, and you've seen it, and we've all seen it. Those people in those Japanese DDs just refuse to use their guns, and they could have killed a guy. He's got 1,000 hit points, and then he gets torpedoed. And just shoot the guy.
You just shoot him.
Yeah,
God
exactly.
Dang it. That's an ongoing joke on my channel about Asashio mains. I hate.
You never see them. They're all out on the 10 line.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that actually, to be honest, that's changed a little bit since they gave them a little bit more firepower with the HE.
Yeah, that alpha damage on the HE for the Japanese destroyers was beautiful, especially with things out there like the Harry Gumbo and the Kitakaze and the Akazuki would have these super high fire rates. These Kakuros, Yugamos, they have a hard time keeping up with the damage if they need to do damage. So they relegated themselves, and I know I did, relegated myself to not running smoke, just running double torpedoes, and maybe I'll have a game that I do 0 damage because there was nothing for me to shoot at. Or if I was going to shoot at, and this guy would absolutely dominate my face. So now people are a little bit more comfortable using their guns the way they should. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Crazy Dog Game says, Ashley, a.k.a. Ashley, you are awesome. Keep it up. All right.
Thank you.
Cougar Mountain says, we're talking about what makes you different than other streamers, and he says, she is more real than I think than anybody else. So there you go. There goes Cougar. Being real on stream is... Being real on stream is, I think is a key. I've met Ashley. She's exactly the same as she is in real life, and I hopefully when people meet me that they think that I'm exactly the same, because I am. I'm just an idiot. I'm an idiot on stream, and I'm an idiot in real life, so it works out.
Yeah, genuine. That's what I talked about.
There you go. Obi Owen. Is that right? Obi Owen? I don't know. that guy, gaming is not what it used to be. When online gaming, you're not just playing a game. You interact with other people, and that has no age limit. Talking about the old guard, which I appreciate. I'm getting up there. I sit there and I look at it, and my little girl turned 10 years old last night.
Oh my God.
Crazy. And I'm sitting there and looking. Both of my kids are graduating high school this year, 18 and 16. And I'm like, man, I'm 35 years old. Or 37 years old. Shit, I'm about to be 38. It's crazy that all of this has happened in 18 years. And where does time go? But either way, I don't know where I was going with that, but let's move on to the next question. Lucho Warrior 2 says, you two guys have a unique personality that makes you the best. Oh, well, thank you.
Oh, look at that.
Here's some more ego stroking for you, Ashley.
Oh God.
Evil Dog Beast says, you two guys are awesome streamers. Y'all keep it up. Y'all keep it real and play the game for what it is, and may your influence spread throughout the community. There you go. That's nice. Being personable to your viewers is what makes you and me, Jash, both unique.
Very nice. Thank you.
There you go. Now going into some comments about the carriers. I prefer, Queen of Noobs says she prefers the RTS style carriers better. Fair enough. So it begs the next question is, you prefer it better? Why? Because you knew it better, or you just haven't got the hang of this one? I mean, what about the RTS is better? we can answer that one later on. Blue Falcon says CV versus CV play is different now because it's not so one-sided, which I highly agree with and I do like. Let's see. Fecklez says DDs are getting that with the rocket launching at the moment, but doesn't even go 20 to 30 seconds into a game before being pounded by rockets. That's something that I've also come up with, in the fact that the action time just feels a little bit quick on the new CVs. Like within less than a minute, you're already out there spotting that first destroyer and dropping damage on them. What do you think?
Say it again. I'm sorry.
Well, the action time of the CVs getting from launching their planes into the action and dropping on them is less than a minute and a half. Which
that is pretty quick. Sucks to be a DD, but I usually don't make it myself to the DDs unless I'm wasting all of my reload. Do you know what I'm talking about? What is it called? Reload, whatever.
Your engine boost?
Yeah. Unless I'm wasting my engine boost. I mean, I usually don't reach the DDs until right before they reach the point anyways. And usually as a DD player, I feel like by the time I reach the point, someone's going to be shooting at me then. It's just instead of being right on top of me.
Pretty right on the money then.
I mean, that's been my experience. The one thing I hear people complain more about is that you can get and spot the entire team, right? But it's not like you can keep them all perma-spotted. You just kind of show where everyone is. But also, a DD player was going to do that within a couple minutes of the game as well.
I guess it all depends on the enemy. I mean, like if you have like a Fuso or something that's spotted from the moon with that big giant pagoda on top. So yeah, you spot it immediately as soon as you spawn in.
Yeah, I think it does suck for DDs though. That's for certain. Especially if you wanted to be a sneaky DD and didn't want anyone to know what part of the map you were on.
Right.
But I mean, the majority of players complain about those DD players, so is it really a loss?
I don't know. It's a 6 in one, half a dozen in the other in this one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Obi-Wan, we're talking about one-shotting of battleships or cruisers or anything like that. Obi-Wan says, Obi-Owen, happened to me twice in a row. I was in a Bismarck and in a Tirpitz, and then the very next game, it's hard to contain the feelings.
Oof.
Of getting one shot. And yeah, those AP bombs were a little bit overtuned. I still think that AP bombs should have been in the game at that point. Now they have a place in the game because they're not so overpoweringly strong. And then Chris Uray says a game should not make you contain feelings like that.
Oh well, yeah, like when you get double AP struck or whatever, that does suck. Well, in the old. Now it doesn't suck so bad.
Yeah, you still get hits. I was playing the Graf Zeppelin and get double Citadels for like 11 grand. So you can still get your damage, but you can't. You're not devastating as you once were. And unless you only got 11,000 hit points left, and then hey, fair enough, good on that guy for getting those citadels. Wargaming put so little effort in informing players on how to counter the new CVs. Wrinkled DM. I wanted to comment on this one. I saw it earlier, and is it to Wargaming to teach you how to play the game? Or is it on you to fail and to be frustrated and grind it out and learn how to play the game? What do you think, Ashley?
I don't know. I guess I don't really know what Wargaming did put out there. I am the worst CC, dude. I just don't read dev notes. I don't read the news.
Well, they didn't put any effort. All right, so basically what I'm getting from this comment is that Wargaming should have told us how to play against the other CVs.
Well, I will say, like, things I missed, but I can't say that Wargaming didn't tell me at some point, right? I didn't know about sectors when I first started playing, when the new CVs came out. It seemed like, I can't tell you when I learned about sectors and I was doing it, how many people in my Twitch said, whoa, what was that? What was that screen? How did you get there? What does that do? So I'm sure Wargaming said it somewhere, right?
Well, the information's all out there. It's all in the dev blogs. It's all in the forums. And I know Kami's over on the NA server. Kami's handling the forum posts of here's our creators corner or whatever, devs corner. And
I would love to see how many of the player base actually reads
not many.
Forums. I would never go to a forum for a game.
Not many people do it at all, and they go to sources of information, community contributors, YouTube's, stuff like that to get their information. And sometimes people have wrong information, and they put out information that's not good, and people bite on it, and they think they take it as gospel. And for those people, I say, hey, take what you hear with a grain of salt until you experience it yourself. Really, not much, but I will give you this on that statement though. Wargaming. The sectoring thing, I didn't really know about that. I knew that they were changing the way AA was going to work, but they really didn't say you have to push the O key or the tilde until after it was already out. I watched a video today that was released on how the new CVs are supposed to work. It was released on the 8th of February. When did the patch hit? 2 weeks ago.
Sure.
So it released the 31st of January, and they released a video on the next Friday. So that was a little bit long time in between before they started explaining mechanics and how things work. But by that time, we've already grinded through it. I know Ashley's a pretty flexible player and pretty smart player, so she picked it up pretty quick.
I had the luck of having Twitch chat. I think that I would never blame Wargaming. I'm sure they put the information out there at some point. I just personally there's an overabundance of information you have to know in this game, and for me it's too much, and I just prefer to learn by doing. So I can't blame Wargaming for not having known about sectors. I feel like, I'm sure they said it somewhere.
They did. I remember hearing them saying about it.
Yeah. Like, the things I didn't know were my fault because the information is out there. I can imagine if you're someone who doesn't watch Twitch and doesn't do any of those things, it was probably pretty shocking. But again, the information's out there somewhere, right?
The information is out there, and it's on that player to go get it or struggle or learn like we did the hard way. So Queen of the Noobs also says, I have to keep in mind that that CVs are the new hotness right now, and they might balance it based on statistical builds, not the build with full AA. That is something to be said there, that a lot of people are still kind of scared about it, so they're balling up, and you see it all the time right now. There's big giant globs of red on the map, and
I gotta love those.
Man, they're so frustrating. But is it any different than what we had before? No, because you still had lemming trains going off to one side of the map, leaving the whole entire other side of the map open for you to push into, or vice versa.
Of course you did, yeah. And I actually, so that's the other thing, I say that I feel like I've had a different experience, like if I'm playing a different game than everyone else, because I actually experienced so much of, instead of my battleship sitting in the back and sniping, they were pushing through points with me as a DD. I had escorts on most of my games when CVs first came out.
Yeah.
Like, I literally, pushing onto point. I've never had so many cruisers and battleships cap with me as I did when the new CVs launched. So I don't really understand this about like what people have said about sniping and sitting back has become more of the norm, because that's literally been the opposite of mine.
It all depends, right? Obviously, perspectives are different, but I feel that it all depends on. It is a strategy. It is a legit strategy to counter CVs, is to ball up and pull the AAs. But the next step is how you use that death ball. How do you use it? Do you go in and push with Ashley, or do you sit out there behind an island because nobody's willing to take any damage? I think if you're going to death ball, push with that damn thing, man. People will turn and run at the first sight of 4 people bearing down on you, not to mention what's not spotted. I mean, I know I do it. I turn around and be like, okay, guys,
be like, oh, nope.
We're on kite mode, boys. Time to switch to HE and do some damage, boys. There you go. All right, moving on to the next question. Pyro says, the game must be fun, firstly, balanced, secondly, and competitive, thirdly. Right now, it's fun and pretty balanced. That's fair. That's probably the most level-headed comment I've heard from chat in a long time about this CV rework.
I've thought a lot about this, and I've asked the questions of people, and I've heard people's complaints, and I feel like the player pool is not large enough for it to ever be truly competitive, because you can't, like, other games that I've played that had real competitive modes, right?
Are we talking like esports type of competitive, or
no? I'm talking about like, for instance, Counter-Strike, you can play comp. In League of Legends, you can play ranked. It's not the ranked we have; it's an actual ranked system. But the ELO, right? The hidden ELO, or even the not hidden ELO, or the matchmaking rank, can be done because there's a huge player pool to pull from. If Wargaming were to try to institute something like this, queue times would just be unreasonable.
Oh, absolutely.
There's not enough people, so it's the downside to having such a small community that's very loyal.
Seems like we've had this conversation recently and other things, yeah, I know ELO, fine. Does it have a place in the game? Maybe at some point in time. Does it fix it problem right now? No. If they try to do it, it would be a disaster. It would separate more of the. I think ELO honestly adds more toxicity to, or a more tipping point to toxicity, because I'm not going to listen to you because you're only a purple guy, or you're a purple green unicorn dude.
I mean, we already kind of have ELO in 2 websites. WoW's today.
WoW's numbers,
right? You have the PR and the WTR that aren't real, but if you look at this, at what those utilize to create your rank, right? It is damage farming,
right.
So totally, it's geared towards damage farmers, which everybody complains about.
Which goes to the point where I don't care what your stats are. The only one that I care about is that win rate, and also, I don't really care about your solo win rate. I'm more apt of how you work with a team.
Oh, I'm the opposite. If I look at someone in their Unicum in divisions, I'm like, okay, you could have been carried.
Right.
But if they're Unicum in solo, I'm like, you're a freaking G. You know how to carry 11 teammates on your back.
Well, the only issue I have with people playing solo is that they tend to play more selfish than anything else. So on those losses that you had, could you have gone in and pushed in, maybe taken about 50,000 less damage, but you capped a point and won the game? So there's always up and down to any way you want to look at stats stat wise. But I don't know. I find people playing in divisions a little bit more. I don't know. Does it give it more clout? I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, who actually knows? I mean, consistency, I guess, is the key. But if 60% win rate versus a 70% win rate versus a super purple unicorn that has this super high average damage but can't win a damn game, where do you go? What do you do?
I do tend to look at win rate over damage, average damage, when I look at somebody's stats.
I do as well.
I don't normally look at somebody's stats. The only time I really look up someone's stats is if they're just being a real pushy person in my chat and trying to push me to play something a certain way, then I'll look up their stats. on that ship.
And
I do.
And if
they're
somebody
always
that's
bad.
trying to, yeah, you should play it this way. You've got a 45% win rate. What do you tell them?
Yeah, yeah, it's like, okay, all right.
Okay, buddy.
I mean,
Thanks.
I don't tell them anything. I just don't listen.
There you go. But and you know, Stab brings up a point here. It says Stabber Nation says, "Hold on. If you're playing solo, you have to be more selfish because you can't trust your teammates to help you out 99% of the time. That teammate is going to turn and run, leaving you out to dry." Yes, I do appreciate that sentiment, and I totally agree with that sentiment as well. I've always said, would you rather play with 11 idiots or 9 idiots and 2 other guys that have similar mentalities? Which would you prefer to do? It's in the end, it's personal preference. So play how you want to and judge people how you want to judge.
I think you're never gonna get real competition unless you play clan battles. I just don't think you can ever consider randoms
Oh no. Randoms has no bearing on it. And I think
and ranked is not competitive either because it's literally just
it's just a patience grind. Yeah, absolutely.
For me, the competition in ranked is like I join every ranked battle thinking that it is me versus what is it, 7 plus 6
other
13
people.
players, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, can I beat these 6 other players? And I don't mean that I'm a save-a-star. That's not what I mean. I just mean literally, can I win this despite how dumb I know my team's gonna play?
All right.
And then I don't get mad if I win or lose, because then it's on me, because I have no expectations of my teammates.
I think that's that goes a long way to saying about how players get better at this game is that they can focus on what they're doing and look at what they're doing before they start railing on somebody else. What have you done? What could you have done different to survive in this situation? Did you sacrifice yourself for the betterment of the team, or did you just throw your boat away? Blah blah blah. And I think if you do that, and then you analyze what could you have done different in situations, then you end up becoming a better player in the long run because you're looking at the game a different direction.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's see. Falk says DDs have two issues at the moment. It's either too many CVs in the game and they're getting spotted all the time, or having too many radar ships in the game. I've not had a problem. I mean, radar is still an issue, but it's a bearable issue, I guess, at the current state.
I only experienced that when I was experiencing 3 CVs in that. As far as radar, like I said, I just, my goal is always to bait out the radar and to position myself on the point that doesn't have the most radar, and then hope that my team whittles the radar ships down before I go to that point. So I don't know, it doesn't bother me, but like I said earlier, I think most of that's because the majority of my time played, there was already all of this, you know. It's nothing new for me.
Nope. I don't know. Is it a problem with the spotting? Maybe. Can it be toned down? Probably. Will they do it? Probably. 3 CV games, I've only seen maybe a handful of them, but they were like tier 4, so they really didn't matter. I have seen a lot of double CV. Yeah, I've seen a lot of double CV games, but nothing that was overwhelming except for before the first hotfix.
And I haven't really seen that at tier 10 either. It was always mid tiers for me. It was almost usually mid tiers.
I know last night we had 5 or 6 games with double CVs at tier 10.
Yeah, I guess I've been lucky.
Something like that. Okay, we'll be almost done here. We only got a few more of these to go, and then we will let you go because I know you are running short on time here. If you can't cap the enemy base anymore as a DD, if you don't kill the CVs before unlimited CV planes and the lack of fighters, that's from Lucho Warrior 2. That's something that has been a hot button topic is the unlimited planes. A lot of people are like, it doesn't matter. They just have unlimited planes. But then when you actually go in there and you're playing a Kaga or you're playing the one that what is it called, the Indomitable, where you lose all of your planes in the first 5 minutes of the game and you're sitting there waiting for planes to come back, really doesn't make much of a difference. I guess it's going to be how well can you manage your planes now to get to that end game to spot that DD.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, as a potato player who is frequently deplaned since the hotfixes, Deplaned meaning not actually deplaned, right? You know, you just get stuck on like 1 or 2 planes at a time. I think that it's balanced.
I've had it twice. I think one of them was on the Lexington and one of them was on the Shokaku trying to show off those Halloween skins, and I wasn't paying attention. I lost most of my plays. But other than that, I've yeah.
Worth it.
I got to show off a little bit and fly around. Ashley and Servenum, 2 of my favorite streamers, with the most helpful information and making my journey in WoWs much easier. Thanks to both of you. My averageness feels great. I love it. There you go. Evil Dog Beast says, man, I can't wait for the flooding changes. In my opinion, they should have implemented that change with the CV rework. We may not have seen such a backlash as if it had been. I don't think flooding changes was going to make the CV rework any smoother transition. We knew it was going to be bad. We had people and some community contributors and other personalities here on Twitch just flat death of the game, end of the worlding this game. So we knew, and that was before the CV rework happened, and then it got multiplied by 12. They turned that shit up to 11 after the CV rework hit, when they were like, see what I'm talking about? Confirmation bias. So I don't know. Your thoughts on that?
The one thing I can see that maybe it could have prevented was the whole Hakuryu thing. Because the reason the Japanese, other than being able to stealth torp, the reason I've seen that they were considered overpowered was the flood. Just how much flooding. The stealth flooding, too. But, you know, I approach everything that a business has done with the lens of, I don't know what business reasons caused them to make this decision, but I'm going to assume they made it because it was best for their business. And we can't know.
Well,
you know, there's always, I mean, I could speculate, you know, I could throw a million things out there why they may or may not have chosen to split those up. Some of it could be they wanted to see this like numbers, statistics, how each one impacted the game and the balance of the game.
That's a fair assessment.
It could literally be anything. I mean, we can't know that, so I just would never judge why they chose not to do it when they did it.
I remember some time ago, somebody asked a Wargaming employee a question about changes and this. Why are you making this change? This doesn't make any sense in this game. And the reply was a very schmarmy reply. Was, well, you don't know everything we got going on, so just calm down.
It's true.
So even as community contributors, as myself and Ashley are, we don't know everything. Even us. I mean, like, they tell us very little, and what they tell us, we immediately go and tell you guys if we're able to. You know, and that's just kind of what it is. There's still stuff out there that we don't know about. We always give our feedback. We argue with each other about what is good for the game and what's not good for the game, or what you think is good for the game. Ashley doesn't think it's good for the game, and vice versa. And so we're all in that same boat as you guys are. We don't know what's coming down the pipeline. So there's a little bit of a grain of, take whatever happens with a grain of salt, because it could change next week. You never know.
Yeah.
Feck says, I'm liking this about you get 6 seconds as a DD before it gets spotted by radar. I'm enjoying that as well. Brute Squad, with the delay, if the ship wants to keep the DD sighted, they will have to risk exposure and follow that guy around. You know what? That's something that I didn't think about. You are absolutely correct. If now, after that 6 seconds, and you want to keep that guy spotted, he runs away from your deal, you have to push out to get him, or you've just burned a radar for no reason.
Yep. I think I hadn't thought about that. It could be a good way to... Yeah, see, that's what I mean. I want to see live. I want to see if it forces people to act dumb like that. And then
I want to see people act dumb. You know why? Because that guy, hey guys, I'm going to see if this guy pulls her out. I mean, you guys know that there's players out there that when you get to play in these games, 5,000, 6,000, 12,000 games or whatever, you start seeing the same players over and over again, and you know what they're capable of, you know what their tendencies are, and then you can play that tendency to take advantage of it. People know that this guy is very risky, and you can bait him in 90% of the time. So let's go in there, let's bait out his radar, and let's get him to come out. Let's get him to come out broadside to our battleships and then get smashed up and be like, See you later, buddy.
Yeah.
Get baited again. All right. The move from stationary depends on a few variables. If the DD has equipped the propulsion mod number 2 and a few other things. We're talking about the how fast the DD can go, how far.
What DDs don't equip propulsion mod 2? Maybe the Russian DDs, but that's because they don't sit in their smoke, right? They do steering
British
instead.
DDs have it built in, so.
Wait, what do you mean they have it built in?
Yeah, like the British cruisers, they have the very quick, fast going forward.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the British DDs have that as well. So.
I think I might still have propulsion on mine, so maybe I need to look at that.
There you go. Well, that is all the questions I have. Ashley, we've been going for just almost 2 hours here, maybe a little bit over. So if there anything else that you guys would like to, or that you would like to say to those beautiful people, now's the time to promote your channel. Tell them where they can find you, when they can find you, give them your schedule, and so on and so on.
Here, right? I can't actually see it yet, but I think it's somewhere.
Yeah,
right down
you're
there.
right.
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
right.
Yeah, there you go. There's my channel and my Twitter. I also have an Instagram. It's not what you expect from an Instagram. It's basically just dogs.
Pictures of the dogs.
Beautiful dogs. Beautiful, bad little dogs.
What's your schedule?
I don't stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. But you can catch me all the other days, usually 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or Daylight Time, whatever we're on. Actually, my schedule's all over the place. I can't even say that. You just have to look at my channel, guys. My schedule is just all over the place.
His schedule's all over the place. That's right, guys. Go look at her channel, twitch.tv/Ashley, a.k.a. Ashley. You guys can also hit her up on our Twitter at Ashley, a.k.a. Ashley. Of course, I am SirVenomIK. You guys can hit me right here. If you guys are already here, twitch.tv/SirVenomIK. You guys can hit me up at Sir_Venom_IK on the Twitter. If you guys are on YouTube, please leave everything in the comment section below, and I will put the descriptions for the flooding changes and the radar changes as well. If you guys have, that's it. That's all I got. Episode 17 of the Across Your Bow podcast is in your books. I want to give a big thank you for Ashley. I know you were streaming earlier today. Thank you very much for coming on and having a little conversation with us here. And you're more than welcome to come back anytime. Just let me know, and we can get it set up. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, I did. Thank you.
Pretty good conversation. Guys, thank you very much for watching. We're going to cut, and then I'm going to go into the normal show. I don't know, Ashley, what if you got going on, but I usually invite the guests to come play a few games with me afterwards. But I understand that you just finished up your show before the podcast, so you probably want to go and go say hi to everybody.
Go see my husband and dog. But
alrighty. Well,
it was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming on. As again, episode 17 is now finished. Thank you all very much for watching. I am SirVenomIK, and that is Ashley, a.k.a. Ashley. We love you. We'll see y'all next time, guys. We're going to come back here in just a second.
Goodbye.